Chapter 1.1, A Whale-Shaped Door. Once we'd all gone down the whale-shaped trapdoor, our eyes adjusted and we could see that we were in a huge dormitory. Every bed was decorated with dolphins and whales, seals and penguins. The quilts were thick and warm, and there was a fake fire in one of the fireplaces, but even though it was fake, it still made the room as warm as toast. "Brilliant," said Jax. "Now pick a bed, and I'll guarantee that the pyjamas will be magic. My grandparents were the king and queen of sleep. My guess is that our energy will be restored like magic." She was right. When we woke up, I'd even forgotten where we were, and I felt so calm that I thought I might float up to the ceiling. When I looked at the boy in the bed next to mine, he was so much larger than me that I wondered what was going on. But when I saw his shock of bright red hair, I remembered that we were in an underground bunker and Miguel was only 10. I was 2 years older than him. I loved watching young Miguel snoring happily. He looked so peaceful. Invictus was over in the corner of the room, also snoring. I think his fright out in the snow had affected him far more than he was willing to say. We didn't want to wake the little ones, so Minnow whispered to those of us who were awake, "I had a nightmare." Her face looked distraught. "What was it?" asked Jax, who was snuggled up next to Max. "I think it was Blizzard," said Minnow. Miguel woke up and rubbed his eyes. "Oh," he said with a yawn, "that's right. We're in a bunker, deep under a heap of ice and snow." He looked naughty, and I couldn't help smiling. His face was big and red, as usual, but without his beard and wild hair, he looked so different. "You looked well slept," I said, "for a boy." "Oh, shush," said Miguel. "I was a kid once, big deal." But I could see that Miguel was feeling happy. It must have felt good to be able to walk again. "Minnow's had a bad dream," said Frank. "More like a nightmare," added Minnow. "We think it's about Blizzard," said Sky. Miguel looked sad. "Ah," he said, "then it's definitely a nightmare, especially if it was about Mudfog." "I think it was," said Minnow, looking sad. "There was a skinny boy, and I mean really skinny. He looked like no one had fed him for months." "Ugh, that'd be right," said Miguel with a scowl. "Was he sitting in a cold, dark room, shivering?" "How did you know?" asked Minnow. "Don't ask," said Miguel. "Anyway," said Minnow, "there was a little bit of moonlight coming in through a window, but that was the only light. The boy was in a singlet. Why wouldn't he have on more clothes than that?" Miguel shook his head. "Cruel thugs," he said. "Who?" asked Minnow. "You'll see," said Miguel. "How do we even know that it was Blizzard in the dream?" asked Invictus. He'd been awake, listening, but pretending to be asleep. Frank scowled at him. "We just do," he said. "Steady on," said Invictus. "It was only a question." Frank sighed. "Go on," he said to Minnow. She moved so that she was sitting closer to Miguel. "I think someone was planning to harm the boy," she said. "He seemed terrified." Miguel nodded. "With good reason," he said. "With very good reason." Escher shook his head. "Poor Blizzard," said Solo. "All right," said Jax, staring at Miguel. "Tell us as much as you can. Then we can make a plan." We all nodded. "There's one thing I'm sure of," Jax continued, "and that is that I will not allow Blizzard to remain in that terrible school for a minute longer than is necessary. Agreed?" "Agreed," we all whispered. Chapter 1.11, Mudfog, the Cruel School. Before we left the bunker, Frank found a periscope that allowed us to check the weather out in the open. "Fantastic," he said. "Oh, I can't wait to put all of this into the time again game." "The time game?" muttered Invictus. You're not skilled enough to do that. He means our computer game, said Minnow, not the actual time game. Our game is called the Time Again game. It has a time game within it, I added. Invictus shook his head. Who cares about a computer game, he asked. Jax sighed. I think we need to talk, she said. Invictus groaned. Oh, here we go. No, we don't, said Jax. This isn't a talk for you, it's a talk for everyone. We all stared at Jax. I was asked to be the lead on this mission, she said, and I trust all of you. But sometimes I have to make a call. We all nodded. And one of my calls is this, Jax continued. We can't be rude to one another. We all looked down. Each one of us has a different personality, so we aren't the same, but that's no reason to mock one another. Minnow put up her hand as if she was in class. Jax laughed. I'm not the teacher, she said. I know, said Minnow, but I wanted to say that I'm sorry for getting off on the wrong foot with you, Invictus. What? Asked Invictus. Why me? Minnow frowned. I think we can all agree that I've been a bit gruff with you. Invictus looked down, his green hair falling over his face. Yeah, well, I probably have been too. Minnow held out her hand. Shake? She asked. If you want to, said Invictus. Miguel stood up. Good, he said. We don't need anything to hold us back. Mudfog is evil enough as it is, full of bad vibes and ugly spirits. Doesn't need any more. Sky shuddered. There aren't any Desgul, are there? She asked, looking terrified. Oh no, said Jem, her eyes wide with fear. No, none of them, said Miguel, picking up Jem and putting her onto his shoulders. Definitely none of them. Jem sighed and started sucking her thumb. I could tell that she felt very happy to be sitting up so high. Can we use our wings at Mudfog? Asked Six, flaring out her blue wings. Max flared out hers too. They were thick and black, just like those of a raven. No wings, said Miguel. Nothing that will make you stand out or you'll be in strife. There are many nasty people at Mudfog, and there's a lot of jealousy. Someone could hate you and start to pick on you just for having wings. Miguel stared at all of us. Bishop Thieve really hates anyone with different coloured skin, especially dark skin. He mocked Blizzard without mercy when we were young. How dare he? Asked Sky. There were no rules, said Miguel. He will hate your hair too. He doesn't like frizzy hair and he hates red. I was persecuted because I have red hair and because I'm part giant. I'm very sorry to say it, but you will be picked on, there's no doubt. How long do we have to stay there? I asked. Unclear, said Jax, but we have to be careful while we're there. Minnow groaned. I hate the sound of this Bishop Thieve, she said. He's not a nice man, said Miguel. Great, I said, just what we need. So how do we get to this wretched Mudfog? Miguel tousled my hair. It's a bit of a walk, he said, so we should eat before we go. Plus the food at Mudfog is absolutely disgusting. Can I try my magic? Asked Minnow. Darling's been training me in the physics of enchantment as it relates to food. Go, Minnow, shouted Escher and Solo.